the key for me is tying the basic human aspects in with AI. And they're going to become more important than ever because everybody is so hungry for human contact and a smiling face. And remember, no matter how sophisticated the AI is, it can't put its arm around your shoulder or smile at
Welcome back to The Transfer, where we explore the minds of automotive leaders who are driving change and transformation in their industry. And today I am so excited to have a guest who's really at the forefront of talent development and recruiting in automotive sales. He's focused on helping dealers find, train, and retain the best people, which we know is a really, really important part of the business. Larry Feldman, the owner of Career Changers USA. Larry, thank you so much for joining. I am so excited to have you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and a little background on your business?
certainly. And thank you so much for having me on. Got into the car business by accident, which a lot of people do. Had an aptitude for sales. I wound up being number two in the country for Cadillac sales. Became a partner after we sold the dealership. I was with recruiting and training. I didn't like what they did or how they did it, so I started my own company. For 4 years, I sales, trained, and recruited. I had a lot of fun, made a lot of friends, made some money. And a guy in Florida, an owner of a dealership, said, Larry, I just came out of a meeting with my managers. We have 20 salespeople. You found, hired, and trained 15 of them, but we were just going over all the stats. The top 10 salespeople are all your guys. Can you get me service people? So, of course, I lied. Sure. And how hard can that be? No problem. Wasn't going to say,
Figure
no, I
that
don't
out.
want your money.
Yep.
Um, and that was 9 years ago. And now I'm all over the United States. Not too many states I'm not in, finding technicians, service advisors, body shop painters, and body shop techs, lot porters, parts people, any management position, everything in sales, whether it's managers or salespeople or receptionists in the office, title clerks. And my methods are incredibly simple. I'm very old school. I answer my phone. I write things down. It stuns me that everybody wants to talk a little bit about AI. Now, if you're not using AI and you're not embracing it, you're making a big mistake because it's changing so quickly and it's pulling so many things with it. But on the other hand, if you're neglecting answering your phone and writing things down, you're making a bigger mistake. I've got two assistants that help me answer the phone, and I answer the phone. If it goes three rings, because my 866 number runs into our lines, then I answer it. Carolyn, it's scary how many people say they're stunned that somebody said hello. So the key for me is tying the basic human aspects in with AI. And they're going to become more important than ever because everybody is so hungry for human contact and a smiling face. And remember, no matter how sophisticated the AI is, it can't put its arm around your shoulder or smile at
Nope. Very true. Love that. So I think from the recruitment standpoint, I think you bring up I can already see some themes that are coming up, but what do you think are some of the biggest hurdles dealerships face when they're trying to find and attract good talent? What makes them have to call you, right?
There's a variety of problems that aren't necessarily dealership related, and some obviously are dealership related. When I started out in the business, I was selling so many cars and my reputation was impeccable. Today, you have 5 jobs in 1 year and nobody thinks it's unusual. So the fact that we're unstable as far as the way we look at the continuity of our life, our jobs, our situations, that doesn't help because people don't think in terms of this is where I want to be. Okay, now this is coming from a guy that worked at a dealership forever, that has owned my company forever, and I've been married once.
Consistency is a theme, clearly.
Yeah, and you can't beat consistency because we've all seen people really talented, and 2 months later, they're nowhere. You got to show up. You got to show up on time. You've got to be consistent, and you got to keep that energy going. Our industry has a bad name, which is sad because there's tons of good people in it. And I mean, if I said to you, you sound like a used car salesman, it's not a compliment. So we're battling the fact that people are not embracing stability they once did, and combine it with an industry that can come across as a poorly viewed, even though they really shouldn't be. We're no better and no worse than any other industry, and probably in some ways better, because you won't find too many dealerships that aren't involved with helping their community or charity or supporting veterans.
Absolutely.
So I think there's the two things. The other thing is the impatience of youth. People get into things and it's like, okay, when am I going to be rich? When am I going to be a vice president? It's not really about the destination. It's about the journey, how much fun you have doing it, what you accomplish, who you meet, what mistakes you learn from. But when your attitude is, I'm here, where's everything that I deserve to have? You're in trouble. Not too many people have the attitude of, I get to do this rather than I have to do this. If your concept isn't, I want to build on something, I want to take pride in what I accomplished, and you combine that with the transient nature of people and maybe a poor reputation, there, all these dealers that are having problems with recruiting, it's easy. Just call Larry Feldman. I'll solve all your problems and we'll have fun doing
it. Love that. So that's the way to do it, right?
Absolutely, positively. I'm way more fun and than the other recruiters they deal with. We're going to have some fun and show you how to make some money and build a career, not a job.
Love that. So once you bring that talent on board and help that dealer do it, how do you keep that training from starting to gap out, right? Like, because it's muscle memory. How do you help dealers sustain once you've found those people who do have the values, the things that we
That's a
just
great
hit on?
question. There was a tremendous legendary trainer named Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar famously said, training is like bathing. I suggest you do it every day because it doesn't last. So there's two factors that come in to help sustain the town. First, all the managers and the owner were in my sales meeting. I loved it. They loved it too. But what was great is when I leave, it's not going to dissipate because they're involved and they understand what it is and they took a tremendous amount of notes.
Mm.
You need to have the managers involved so they can disagree with you if it's something they don't like and they can continue what you're doing. And also, it's the best result when they bring me back in at a certain period of time to train because I don't care who it is or what it is or how it is. You don't do it once and you're an expert on
Exactly.
there's got to be, gosh,
Muscle
we're back
memory
to the
must
same
be
thing,
built. Muscle memory.
consistency, right?
Yeah.
So see, we just continue to solve all the industry's problems. You hire me, then you beat your managers up to come to my meeting. They'll have a good time, and then you bring me back.
I know I think simple is important. And so one of the themes I'm hearing is like fundamental human basics are an important kind of tenet of your philosophy. So now to the kind of technology side of it, I love to hear even maybe a story, an example where you're seeing a dealership try to do something that's supposed to enable the sales process or help their talent. And like, how did it go? Are they using it in the right way? Are they forgetting those fundamental basics you talked about in terms of the connection and the things that you ultimately may matter when it comes to making a
We're
sale?
the It really comes down to being authentic and looking in the mirror and saying, "Am I really doing a good job? Could I do a better job? What am I doing wrong?" I treat customers like I want them to come back and I want them to bring me back. Now you're saying, Larry, that's kind of obvious, is it? Go to look at how many places you go to, and it's like you're bothering them. What car salespeople talk about all day, it's that there's no business. And then when a car pulls up, three geniuses go, he don't look like a buyer, send the rookie out. If you're not excited by everything, if you don't see everything as a potential,
Please.
they're not annoyances, they're annuities. I look at everything as how much you can bring in now, next week, next month, next year. And yet so many people don't grasp that concept.
Mhm.
It's not about the deal you're making. It's about all the deals you're going to get from that deal because your strongest close and your most money made and the best way to control your schedule in your life is repeat and referral.
So referrals when you're coaching these dealerships, right? Making sure they're not losing sense of kind of the obvious things when you're going, building your book, selling. How does that work? Is that similar for career changers and how you've kind of built your own business in terms of is it mainly referrals in terms of how
It's
you
at this point, anybody that I reach out to or reaches out to me on LinkedIn, I give them a couple paragraphs on what I do, all the different people, and I get a ton of business this way. But I would venture to say the last 8, 9, 10 things I've signed up or I physically gone to were people that called me because they referred to me by somebody else, which is really, really, really a great thing and a great feeling, you know?
it's a testament to what the services you deliver, right? It works.
Hmm? But keep in mind that comes from an attitude of gratitude and being upbeat. You were kind enough to reach out to me. I reached back out to you, and then we had a phone call.
Hmm.
and you were laughing and you were engaged. And when you hung up, you were thinking, this guy's crazy. This is going to be a lot of fun. Well, that's how you sell cars. That's how you sell any product. But if you screw up the order, they never come back. But if
Hmm.
you can discipline yourself to be on top of things, and at the same time, be amused, have fun, make it fun for people. One of my points of pride is when I train, I sometimes go 3.5 hours. And boy, do I love it when they look at their watch and go, wow, that felt like 10 minutes. Because what I'm inevitably trying to teach them to do is engage people so the time doesn't matter. Because the number one complaint at dealerships isn't that we robbed them or we cheat, it's how long it took. So if you can be more efficient with your time and your skills, but also make it so much fun that they're not looking at their watch or their iPhone or whatever, you can roll in that direction.
So is your coaching and training when you're working with these sales teams, um, is it really just that kind of traffic that's coming through the front door, or are you also coaching in on the like, hey, we've got these leads that are coming in online. They were shopping around, they were looking at cars, and how do you take that kind of digital to in-person transition?
I
What's
take
that
them
look
through the
like?
entire sales process from beginning to end. Obviously, I weave in AI. Obviously, I weave in social media. You still have salespeople all over the United States that aren't holding their phone up to their face twice a day and saying, hey, look at what we just traded. Look what we got. Look at the great sale we have. Why not? Well, there is no why not. You do it. One of the things when I end my training, when I get towards the very end, I come to two of the most important step is the meet and greet. Because if you don't get that done, you're not getting to the other steps.
Mhm.
But to me, the most lucrative steps, once you get past that, are my steps 11 and 12, which is follow up and prospecting. So
Mhm.
at the end of my prospecting, I say, listen, it's the only way you're going to get rich. It's the only way you're going to control your schedule. It's the only way you're going to remove the anxiety from your life of, oh my God, am I getting a customer today? Because you've already had them scheduled. They know you, is to prospect. I'm in, I'm in Virginia, and I'm having what should really be a fun couple of days because they're bringing me in just to train. And it was particularly easy because this place I've got a great relationship with, and most of the people there I've gotten hired, and the managers really like me. So I'm in the room, and I realize quickly there's one guy that doesn't want to be there. And he says, what do you say to the guy that says, why should I buy from you instead of the other Chrysler dealer? So I think for a second and I say, why don't you tell that customer that you're greedy? So the class starts to laugh. They figure, man, Feldman's having a nervous breakdown. So wait a minute. You be the customer, I'll be you. Okay. Why should I buy from you instead of the other Chrysler dealer? Because I'm greedy. And he says, that sounds like BS. I said, does it? I bet you're just like me. I'm reeling them back in. You bought something from somebody. It didn't have to be a car. It could have been a big screen TV, a fancy watch, a really elaborate chair. And they were your best friend to get your money. And then when you had a problem, you couldn't find it. I hate that, don't you? Because I do hate that. Well, that guy wasn't greedy. He wanted to sell you one chair or one watch. I want to sell everybody you ever met in your life a car. I'm going to be your personal concierge. You always want to buy from people that are greedy in the sense that they'll keep you happy to get more of your money. I got a standing ovation. Um, I teach people to think out of the box. I don't want people to come and memorize 20 or 30 robotic phrases.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is ask people, smart people, sometimes managers. You walk up to a guy on a beautiful Saturday, and before you can open your mouth, he says, don't even start with your sales pitch. I only have 10 minutes. I got to go watch my son play ball. The answers I get are ridiculous. Oh, I can do it in 10 minutes. I don't think so. The answer is, what does your son play? Football. Man, Tom Brady's retired. He's making 10 million a year. She's a tennis player. Serena Williams is worth 100 million. And if they really are in a hurry, if it's not an excuse, when you text them in 3 hours, you don't say we still have the car. You say, how'd the next Tom Brady do? This is not complicated.
Yeah.
We're terrible listeners.
I would love for you to give me one aspect within either recruiting, training that you think people just in the industry completely get wrong or overlook. And I think you've hit on it a bit, the human connection piece of it, but expand on it a little bit more in terms of like what are just like every dealership you go to, you're just like, wow, they're they are missing the boat.
The the there's actually I'll give you a multi-part answer because it's such a good question. Um, the problem with training is twofold. It's not consistent enough and it's not fun enough. It's almost like when you watch how some of these people train, it's better off if they don't train. Training should be fun. We have a problem in the world in business. It's in all businesses, and it's particularly bad in our business. We don't understand that a short, punchy meeting is better than a long, long-winded meeting. Training's got to be fun, but it's also got to be points that make sense so you can hold people accountable. See, a manager that's beloved but isn't a good manager will make you go broke. He's just real nice to you. You want a manager that's a little bit more of a drill sergeant, where he's going to force you to be able to feed your family and make a living and sustain a career. Um, we've got to have a little bit of a thicker skin. We have to look at everything as an opportunity. Hey, you got a problem? Run to it. Because when you solve people's problems, boy, do you get a foothold with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the training is inconsistent enough, and they don't make it fun enough, and they probably don't make it short enough. You always want to leave them wanting a little bit more rather than, oh man, is he going to go on and on and on? I have to throw people out after I train 3 hours. I swear, I know it sounds impossible because they really are having fun and they're engaged. And it isn't about me, it's about them.
Yep.
So the training, as far as the recruiting aspect, you've got to make it very clear to people that you're very interested in having them join your team. But see, now here's where it's not the dealership's fault. What I do is very time consuming. What you do is as running your business and being a mom is very time consuming. When you start to combine things that don't make sense schedule wise, it becomes impossible. You've got to schedule people. A bunch of them aren't going to show up. When they do show up, you've got to really make them feel engaged and special. They're there. You can't blame a desk manager or a GSM for that. If he's desking a deal or he's working with somebody, you can't really realistically expect him to stop doing what he's doing. Yeah. Not to mention, every recruiter will tell you what I'm telling you is true. It's a pain in the ass to get people to come in. So it's like if your used car manager is your controller, you're screwed up at both jobs because these are separate things that you need to focus. So while you want to make it clear to people that we're very open, there also has to be a strong process. We fail with our processes all the time, and it's not just the car business. We start doing things and then we stop doing them even though they've been successful. So, we're always back to the same thing. How's your process? How's your attitude? The only things you have in your life that you control your time and your attitude. Mm-hmm. You're rich, you can go broke. You're broke, you can get rich again. But how you control your time and the attitude that you put out there in the world is everything. You'll never hear me say I'm too busy. Never. Mm-hmm. Now, once in a great while, you may call me and I say, hey, I'm on the phone with the dealer. I'll call you right back.
Call you back, yeah.
But this too busy is a slippery slope where all of a sudden everything revolves around how busy you are. Time management is everything. Sometimes we need people's help and we think the best way to prime the pump is to abuse them.
Yeah.
Scream and holler, not realize they're going like this, they ain't paying me that much.
You catch more flies with honey, always.
Yes, ma'am. your time, your attitude, having a strong process, being glad that you have a place to go to make money and meet people and do stuff. I'm telling you, I look at every day as a little adventure. Who am I going to meet? What am I going to do? How much fun can I have?
Love that. All right. So when a dealership brings you on, what are the outcomes that they're looking to achieve and how do you kind of measure success? Because what you're doing is some of it's almost not even tangible, right? You're teaching these skills, this emotional connection, these things that are, just fairly big concepts, right? To be successful in sales. How do you turn that into kind of the results side? What does that look like?
It depends how much I can alter people's line of thinking of how they look at their customers and how they measure their own efforts. I had a weird conversation about a year and a half ago with a guy that says, I know you help dealerships and body shop. Can you do anything with tire places? Of course I can. Again, had no idea what to do. And I started getting texts for these tire places all over the country. And then one of the guys that was on that conversation called me and said, well, all my tire guys love you. Can you get counter people who are good salespeople? A young lady and a young guy that I got hired are killing it. They're doing fabulous. The customers love them. They're making a ton of money. They both grabbed me and said, the most fun I ever had in a job in my life. I'm loving it. So to me, success is finding people, putting them in the right position, showing them how to be successful, helping them readjust their attitude. And obviously, if I didn't do something right, they wouldn't constantly be
Yeah.
calling me to come back and refer me around all over the place.
So it's really that's your measurement, right? That just continual repeat of let's call
Well,
Larry, let's
sure,
put him back
sure.
over here.
Listen, if you have a restaurant you love, you keep going back to it. You tell your friends because
Absolutely.
it's a great restaurant. If it's not a
Yeah,
great restaurant, you don't go back.
love that. All right, so let's look to the future. Obviously, automotive changing technology is a huge part of it. How are you kind of positioning your business to evolve with it? I think you've got your foothold in some fundamental human basics, right? That I think will never go out of style. But as you kind of think about your business now versus, 3, 5 years from now, where the sales process may look very different or even more enabled by technology.
I tell them to stay open minded. The most expensive thing you can have is a closed mind because whether it's you or me, think about what we thought 3 years ago or 5 years ago and how radically different it is now. So you want to be open minded with
Mhm.
AI. Use it, embrace it. There's a lot of ways it could make your job easier. I've seen long conversations where they condense in 8 or 10 lines. So that's a strength. But I'm a believer that a lot of that stuff grew out of really stupid concepts. Cliff Notes. Cliff Notes was you're in college, and instead of reading a great piece of literature, you got a little condensation of what it is. Well,
Oh,
that's like
yeah.
saying, yeah, I went to a great pizza place. Did you eat there? No, but I circled the block and I made notes. So we tend to like to try to condense things down. Now, if it's important, if your time is incredibly valuable to you and it's a 4 hour thing and you want to, I get it. But let's not lose the fact that how much fun it is to meet people, to be successful, to accomplish things. So I want people to embrace AI, but realize you don't want to let your fundamental skills fall off. You're smiling at people, you're being personable. The money is on social media. You have people, hey, I didn't realize he was there. I didn't know she worked there. So we need to embrace all the technology we have. We need to use it properly. We need to keep an open mind. But more important than ever, we don't want to lose our humanity.
I love that. I think that is such a good kind of way to wrap this up because they have to work together, right? These
Oh, and one other thing, as long as
Mhm.
I'm doing all my commercials, I just don't do the auto business. Uh, I work with furniture stores, restaurants. I got a lawyer hired in Chicago, believe it or not. My methods are more effective than everybody else's methods because they're all hung up on algorithms and all these things that don't involve being human. I answer my phone. People that work with me answer their phone. We make it clear. We spell things out. We don't, deceive anybody or leave things murky. Um, so if anybody needs any help with recruiting, I'm here. If you need some motivational training, I'm here.
Well, Larry, this has been such a fun and insightful conversation. You brought, I think, such an important perspective to not sales, recruiting, humanity, and then what that means in terms of like how do you tap technology to kind of bring some of the best out so you can get to that human connection. So I so appreciate your time. For anybody looking to connect with Larry, you can find more information on careerchangersusa.com. Um, thank you again.
Or they can call me on my cell,
Oh,
215 407 5174. I'll say that again, 215 407 5174. I'd love to talk to you. I'd like to make your businesses better and have some fun along the way.
you heard it here first, folks. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thank you.